I feel like I have been a menace on the internet for the last 20 years of my life.
They love the concept. They didn't come back and forth with loads of amends, which brands do, of course.
It sounds like they really trust you to like tell a more personal story.
Yeah, exactly. And I love their ethos, because their ethos is gathering around people to eat good food.
I can't believe that this is my job, and it doesn't feel real sometimes because
One of my top tips is anyone that emails you, add them on LinkedIn.
my work trips are work trips, and then for my holidays, I sometimes will go somewhere a bit dead, so I'm not tempted
That's
to
good.
make
Yeah,
content.
yeah,
So I go to just a very average looking hotel,
Yeah.
and I can just switch off and
Yeah.
read and chill.
They weren't sure, but they trusted me, which I love when brands trust me. And that video now on my TikTok is sitting at 10 million views organically.
That's it.
No paid spend, anything like that.
I always say your follow count or your engagement rate is not going to be printed or chipped into your gravestone. So at the end of the day, it's really not that deep. So
Smaller brands expect you to sell a product, whereas I can influence. That's my job. I can influence.
Hey, nice to meet you. What's your name and what type of content do you create?
Okay, so my name is Remi Idowu, also known as Feed by Remy on social media. I am a content creator, recipe developer, and soon to be cookbook author.
Oh, that's very exciting.
What's your name?
My name is Kelsey, and my username is Kelsey in London. But contrary to that username, I'm not really in London much. Yeah, I create travel content, so I am usually traveling around the world, and
Nice.
yeah, very grateful for this job. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
A big thank you to Cube for having us at their incredible Hackney Wick studio.
As the world's first studio subscription and community for content and music creators, Cube offers an inspiring environment for any creator.
With 4 locations across London, including their new location in Elephant and Castle, they are a key player in the creative community.
If you're interested in joining them, make sure you use the code C24 in the refer field when applying for priority access.
So what do you think led you to start creating content? What would you say? What was your do you know what? I want to start creating videos.
I feel like I have been a menace on the internet for the last 20 years of my life. It started as early as, oh gosh, the Neopets days, MySpace, Bebo. Yeah, I was always up to something. I was always doing a bit of coding, HTML, all that kind of jazz. So yeah, I used to love photography and graphic design. And when I moved to London, I'm originally from Australia. 8 years ago, I just shared my personal travels online on Instagram, not really dipping it too much. And then, yeah, it just was a happy accident that this led to this career, because back then I didn't know you could earn money from it whatsoever. Yeah.
Oh, that's really
What
cool.
about yourself? What got you started?
I have a very long story, which I will shorten.
I got time. Yeah.
So I used to have an online bakery. Basically, I used to sell brownies and cookies, post them nationwide. And then basically I lost my job during COVID, and I was like, right, I really need this to make me money, because if not, I cannot pay my rent. So I put my all into that. And it was doing well for a couple of months, but I was like, I want to be able to pay and go on holiday and live my life. So I got a full-time job, and I was like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a video of everything I used to sell. I'm going to post a video how to make this Oreo cookie, how to make this brownie. And then I'm going to just close the account, I'm done. One time I did a Instagram story of my dinner, and I was like, oh, this is what I'm having for dinner, guys. Lol, fun vibes. And loads of people responded saying, can you do a video on this? And I was like, I'm a sweet account, I don't really want to. But for me, my main thing was if I can teach someone how to do something, I would love to be able to teach people how to do something.
There's a demand for it. People are asking for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I posted the video. It didn't get loads of views, but it got loads of saves. And I was like, oh, okay, people that are watching this like this. At the time, I was friends with a content creator called Callum Harris. He's now a cookbook author himself. And I saw what he was doing online, and I was like, this is really cool. And it's it makes some sort of money. I was similar to you. I had no idea how much money it could make. And I was like, okay, let's just start posting videos. And then from there, I had a video, which is so funny. I had a video that went viral. It was, if you scroll down further enough, you will find it on my TikTok, on my Instagram, chicken birria tacos. And I use nothing. I didn't do anything authentic. I was like, it's chicken birria tacos. And I was like, it wasn't. It was just a fajita wrap. And it went viral for all the wrong reasons. But I was like, okay, people are watching my account now. Let's do something right with it, kind of a thing. So I kind of took a bad moment, made it into a good one. And I've been kind of doing that ever since. I quit my full-time job last year, December. And it's been a really fun ride. I was really scared to quit my job, but it's been fun. It's been really, really fun.
You're absolutely killing it. And,
thank you.
Soon to be a cookbook author. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's kind of come about. Because this time last year I was working full time, and to think now I'm going to be writing a cookbook, and it's going to be out next year blows my mind.
It's so sick how it's going to go from the digital format to something that's physical as well.
Yeah. And I think being able to go back to bookshops I used to go to and like see that my name's gonna be in there, it blows my mind.
That's gonna be such
really
a sick
cool.
moment to see you.
Yeah. What would you say your best experience is with your content creating so far?
Best experiences? Oh, I mean, I feel like every single week
Yeah.
nothing's ever the same, and I'm so grateful that something I would do as a hobby and personal enjoyment, aka go on holiday, travel, is literally my job, and I never take it for granted. I pinch myself. I can't believe that this is my job, and it doesn't feel real sometimes because when I was younger, it's not something I ever dreamed of. I was more into art and photography, and I kind of would watch some TV shows where there'd be like maybe travel TV presenters, but I had no idea that this would be reachable for someone like me, and that's what I really like to encourage others is to, you really can, you don't need a degree, you can really just be a regular iPhone and you can do it too. So
what would you say is your favorite place you visited them? You must get this all the time, but
definitely. I mean, I did go to Bora Bora this year, and it is literally as beautiful, if not better, than it looks, how it looks in photos to how it looks in real life. It's stunning. But after that, I would say Japan. Yeah.
Okay. I think I've heard that a lot. I have heard that a lot. Apparently the food's really good. People are really friendly.
Love it for food. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's just the mix of the crazy technology in Tokyo and Osaka to then go to the nature in Kyoto is beautiful.
Nice. Oh, that's great. That's great.
What's your favorite brand collaboration? And in a few words, kind of talk me through the experience.
Oh, that's a great question. Favorite brand collaboration. To be fair, I think I've been very lucky. I've worked with quite a few brands and a lot of brands that I love, like brands that I've always grown up using. Favorite one. Okay, it will probably be it'll be my first ever brand collaboration with Our Place. We did a recipe, my jollof rice recipe. It's one of my most viral recipes. And I got my mum to do like a voiceover snippet where it was like her explaining how to make jollof rice. And I think it was so fun because one, it was my first ever brand collaboration. So it was brand new to me. And being able to have that, my mum in it, and like they loved the concept. They didn't come back and forth with loads of amends, which brands do, of course.
It sounds like they really trusted you to tell a more personal story.
Yeah, exactly. And I love their ethos because their ethos is gathering around people to eat good food. So I would probably say Our Place. I do love Our Place. What about you?
For me, Adobe, because it's a brand that I've used since I was 15 years old, nearly half my age. I'm showing my age there. It's just a pinch me moment again because it's something I use literally every day. I wouldn't be able to do my job without Adobe. And similar to the brand you worked with, they just really trusted me creatively. And I was also able to incorporate my community and do some like in-person workshops. And I really love to educate others. So
there's something about meeting your followers that makes it so much more real. Like meeting people that support you. It's like, because sometimes you can get kind of caught up in the number, like, it's just a number, it's just a number. But being able to actually meet people and you're like, wow, like one follower is a lot of followers. Like 100 people is a lot of people. So that must have been really cool to have like workshops and stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So when it comes to brand deals and stuff like that, do you prefer creative freedom or do you prefer, this is a guideline, do you want this? Or do you prefer, huge budget, but you need to do this, 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 this?
I'm going to have to go big budget because I think a big budget now means creative freedom later.
Love that.
So I always find some jobs I will take on because I think about, okay, if I do this in one now, I will use this money to give back to my followers in terms of creating a new travel guide series.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find often a bigger budget does give you a bit more creative freedom in terms of what you can invest back into the campaign in terms of props you might buy or where you travel to shoot it or, a different backdrop or something. So while it might be a strict brief, there's always ways you can work around it as long as you're talking to the brand and, it's a collaborative discussion.
Yeah. I would probably say it's interesting because I feel like you can get both. It's rare, but you can. So I think most of the time when people have sometimes bigger budgets, they know influencers, they know this marketing space. So they're ready for you to kind of do whatever in your niche kind of a thing. I found that when I've worked with smaller brands, they're a lot more strict because they don't understand how, yes, you're giving me creative freedom, but it's because I know what I'm doing kind of a thing. So I would probably say both. I'm quite greedy. I want creative freedom and I want a big budget.
And I often find the smaller budget, the bigger headache because I think those brands have more to lose, whereas the brands with the bigger budgets, there's more trust because they've been doing this for longer. So
I think they understand. I think one thing I always try and tell people is that I'm not a salesperson. No. I'm more your marketing team kind of thing. Like it's not my job to sell something. I have influence. I can persuade people to buy something, but I'm not a salesperson. I'm the marketing team instead. So I think a lot of smaller brands expect you to sell a product where it's like I can influence, that's my job, I can influence, but I can't, you know.
And there's that marketing rule where it's, you know, someone has to see something 7 or 11 times before they take an action. So I think a lot of brands fail to understand that our job is to have brand awareness. And yes, we can make some conversions, but in the travel space, someone's not going to just book a luxury hotel that second. It's something they might save for a whole year and book later. So it's part of that journey. Okay, question for you then. Tight turnaround. As in, you know, you might have to do something in 24 hours, 48 hours, or would you rather take a delayed payment so you can take a bit longer to create the content, but your payment is going to be 60 days?
Once again, you can get both of them. You can find a tight turnaround and they're not paying you for 3 months kind of thing. I would probably say tight turnaround. I think for majority of my creator journey, I was working full time and still creating content. So I was kind of doing tight turnarounds to myself anyway, because a brand can give me, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks to create content, but I'm working 5 days of that week. So I only have really 2 days anyway. Delayed payments, my bills are not delayed, unfortunately. They come every single month. So I would say tight turnaround. What about yourself?
I think I'm the opposite, because since switching to a limited company, it's kind of honestly, it's a bit sad, but I'm used to delayed payments. And at my big age, the tight turnaround would just send me into a coma. I would rather have time to do it. And I think there's kind of systems in place where a delayed payment wouldn't affect my workflow. But I know that's in a privileged place to say. When you're starting out as a creator, it's really important to, if you can, save a bit of money first, so that when it's going to happen, unfortunately, there's going to be a late payment. So that would be my advice to creators, is to, unfortunately, like, you can put things in place in terms of late payment fees, but
no one pays.
It's embarrassing. I don't want to be a beggar to be like,
do you know what? I don't mind begging. I'm going to be so real. I don't mind. I'm very shameless. Like, I will message a brand. If it's a brand, when I was managing myself, if it was a brand I really wanted to work with, I will message you like 3-4 times easy, because I've got brand conversions because of that. I think because it's worked out for me, I'm like, I'll do it, kind of a thing. Late payments. When I was first starting off, I was like, please pay me, because I didn't really understand how it worked, kind of thing. I remember being very surprised that you get paid in like 30 days, or it can be like 60 days. And I was like, oh, like, this is a long time to wait for a video, kind of thing. But because it was so brand new to me, it was, you know, all like a learning curve. You mentioned the point of, because of the way your system's set out, you aren't too affected with late payments. So if you were giving advice on like a creator who wants to start out, monetarily wise, how did you set yourself up so that you knew you would be okay, kind of thing?
Yeah, because it's really scary to leave a full-time job and to have that guaranteed monthly salary. I think having systems in place in terms of having a diverse income streams can really help. But also it just comes down to saving up and kind of, I was trying to think, it's kind of like a golden rule to how much you should have saved up before you leave your full-time job. Some people will say you want 6 months worth of wages or 3 months. I'm kind of a bit, have a bit of, what's it called? I'm a bit naive in terms that I don't play it safe always. So I kind of had this unwarranted confidence that I knew everything was going to be okay. So I think I didn't save that much, but just enough so that at least the first few months you can pay your rent and bills. That's really important before jump. But
I think I mean, growing up with not a lot of money, my biggest fear was like, I don't want to go homeless. Like, obviously I can go and live with my family again, but I was like, I don't want to go home. So I think I saved a year's worth of rent. Bear in mind, I live in the Midlands, so my rent isn't crazy expensive. And then I did 3 months of my expenses. I was like, a year worth of rent, and then 3 months of expenses. And that kind of has carried me through. And after maybe the first 3 months, I would probably say I had made that. So I was like, oh, okay, like I'm going to be okay. But I think the warrior in me was like, what if this all goes wrong? Kind of a thing. And I was like, I still need to pay for my rent. But yeah, that's a sensible thing to like have like 6 months worth of expenses. Or
okay, so now we're moving on to segment 2, quick fire rounds. I'm gonna kick things off. What's the best editing apps? Which one's your favorite software and why?
So this is going to surprise a lot of people. I edit on my phone and I just use InShot. I don't do anything special whatsoever. I know a lot of people, like you mentioned Adobe. I know a lot of people edit on their laptop and stuff like that. I feel like I want to keep this as fun as possible for me. And I think having to be on my laptop and edit a video, I think it would make it too serious for me. And then it would feel like too much like a job. And then I wouldn't like it anymore. So For me, I like to keep it fun. I literally just edit on my phone. I'm very lucky I have a spare phone and I edit on there. I don't do anything. I don't have a mic. I really should invest in a mic.
It works.
But
like,
it
your
works,
videos are
exactly.
amazing. And
Thank you.
it's got to work for you, and you can multitask whilst doing it on your phone, and you can be comfy. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like
yeah.
I'll be on the train. I'll be like, right, okay, I need to edit this video because I need to post in 20 minutes. Like, let's go.
100%.
Kind of a thing. What about yourself?
Yeah, I used to do it on my phone. I used to use Adobe Rush and CapCut as well, which is great because CapCut is free and they have a free desktop version. But I did, I had basically done a UGC job last year, which did require me to send the final deliverables in Adobe Premiere Pro.
Oh, interesting. That was like part of your deliverables to do that. Interesting.
And I was like, okay, I have no idea how to use this program, but I told myself how to use it on a weekend thanks to YouTube. And since then, I've stuck to that on my computer, as I do find it's a lot faster and easier to control in terms of, I mean, I've got like stubby little fingers, so hitting my phone is not easy for me. Yeah. But on my computer with a mouse and trackpad is a lot faster. But I would say to anyone getting started, CapCut, InShot are really great apps to start
I think
with.
that honestly, I think they're amazing. I think it will. I do
not
think
Instagram.
Not Instagram.
Not editing on app.
Yeah, because people have done that and they lose their footage.
That's the thing.
Like,
you can lose your whole
terrible.
drafts. Whereas if you're doing CapCut and InShot, you can save projects too. Yeah.
Okay, so do you record on a camera or on your smartphone?
So I do my videos on my iPhone. I would really love it if there was kind of an in-between iPhone to DSLR or mirrorless camera. But yeah, I find iPhones are amazing for recording reels. And then for photos, I use my Canon R5, which is just insane. Okay. So yeah, I feel like carousel photo posts are making a comeback these days because I was for a while doing a lot of reels, heavy focus content. But yeah, I'm really enjoying going back to photography. What about you?
Okay, so I film everything on my iPhone. I'm exactly the same. Everything's on my iPhone. I have maybe in the past 3 months, I got myself a camera just for my images on my website. So I have a blog where all my recipes are on there. And I find that the iPhone cameras when cutting it went on a laptop. So then I got myself a camera for that. But yeah, I'm same as before where I want to keep this as easy and as fun as possible. So everything's on my iPhone. I don't think I'll ever get to the stage where I want to do it on the camera. I think iPhones as well, they're progressing to a point where you don't really need one. Kind of a thing. So
I'm excited to see what the 16 is going to do.
Yeah.
The 15 is already amazing, but yeah, I think it's a lot more relatable as well. I think I do love following creators who create really cinematic, beautifully shot content.
Yeah.
But for our kind of content, I think iPhone
fun,
is
quick,
great, relatable, easy. Love it.
Yeah. Would you say you prefer doing then long form content or short form?
So I used to always do short form, kind of 15 seconds and under, but lately I've been focusing a bit more on voiceover videos. I think that way you can connect a lot more with your audience, and I find I gain a lot more followers from it as well. So people are connecting more with my voice and who I am as a person, because I used to be quite anonymous behind my content. You kind of really see the back of my head.
I think most people start that way. It's like, oh, I'm shy. Yeah.
So yeah, a bit of both really. I haven't done any YouTube yet, so I haven't done anything longer than a minute. Hats off to anyone who does, because it's a lot of hard work. I know you do a lot of voiceover videos. So
when I started off, I didn't do any voiceover. And I think it was the aesthetic at the time on TikTok especially. It was just kind of music and your cooking video or your baking video. But same as you, I found that the more I did voiceovers, and also the more now I'm trying to integrate myself into my content a lot more, you get more of a community. And I think that's so important. So I think people do strive on growing as a creator, which obviously is super, super important. But if you have 1,000 followers and each one of those followers support everything that you do, that's all you need. You don't need 10K followers kind of thing. If you have 1,000 people that actually genuinely support what you do, that's what's really important. And I find that integrating myself into the content, doing voiceovers like you mentioned, has really, really helped. So I would probably say short form content, but making sure you have that personal touch. I do want to start doing YouTube. So I think I get a lot, especially with cooking and baking. My videos short form, they could be about a minute long. And I would love to be able to kind of deep dive into stuff. I had a really viral recipe series called Cookie 101, where I explained every single ingredient of a cookie and how to make the best cookie. And I think that would do so well long form, because I could just kind of really go into detail. So long form to be continued right now, probably.
I'll message you in 6 months and see, because that sounds amazing. I think that would work really well.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone's looking to get started editing, what is your number one editing hack or secret tip?
Okay, this is a big big thing that I do for every single video. Your first 3 seconds of your video is worth more than anything, because if your people's attention span, I know mine attention span is very short. If you're not grabbing, should I say, your audience in the first 3 seconds, they're not going to be interested. So I would say best editing, put the most visually appealing content in the first 3 seconds, whether it's a pouring shot, like for food wise, for instance, whether it's a pouring shot or it's a squeeze of a burger or it's like a drizzle of caramel. Put that in the first 3 seconds because it's going to draw someone in. And then you can go into how you make your recipe, for instance, or if it's fashion content, do the most interesting part right at the beginning. Don't wait till the end, because percentage-wise, most people don't watch to the end of videos. So you want to put it in the first 3 seconds. That's probably what I would say. More about you.
I definitely agree. You want to really hook someone in, and they might save that post for later to refer to when they have more time to watch it. But yeah, I think that works really well for your content.
Yeah.
For me, it's editing on beats and music. I can't stand watching someone's video if it's just not satisfying if it's like a bit offbeat. And I think the music is such an important element. And it's not really about using trending audio. It's about using an audio that fits the vibe of whether it's, food, travel, beauty. I think it adds such an important element.
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of people don't watch with sound on. So also having closed captions if you're doing voiceover videos, because, you want to make sure it's accessible for everyone. And I think a lot of people miss that, is they don't have closed captions.
Yeah.
And like you said, the start of the video is key. So having a really strong kind of like a call to action or a hook that gives someone a reason to watch the video is key.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think the first 3 seconds is absolutely anything. And you don't want it to be too gimmicky, like stop scrolling and watch this. Like, everyone's heard that now. We're past that.
For some. I haven't tried it yet, but
that is true. But I feel like I think visually, like you mentioned, visually and your voiceover, the first 3 seconds is everything. And I think as well, it's really good on TikTok, you can see the analytics, and most of my likes, you can see when someone likes a video now, like what duration of it. Most of my likes are in the first 5 seconds of my video most of the time, because it's like, oh, that looks nice, and then they're more likely to watch the whole video.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, as we've said, the first 3 seconds, I would probably say is anything. So next question, if you could get rid of one platform, which one are you willing to lose?
Facebook, I guess. Are we talking about all of them? I'm trying to think, I've actually never used Twitter.
Really?
It's because I know I'll get cancelled if I have
it. Too far. I use my Twitter for
it's
my
for my own
reasons.
safety. Oh no, actually I take it back, because I have a Facebook group for creators, so I couldn't imagine that being on WhatsApp, because it's got nearly 10,000 members, and
wow, it's amazing.
I would hate being in a WhatsApp group of 10,000 members, but maybe Twitter.
Okay.
I just don't use it.
What about things that you do use then? If you have to cut one off that you do use.
Instagram.
Oh really? What's your reason for that?
I mean, it's literally the reason I have my job, but in terms of what I actually enjoy, I enjoy TikTok. It's just a good time. I'm giggling every night. Just I don't really get that with Instagram. I find the way the algorithm works, I'm not really seeing. Okay. Yeah, it's like the algorithm doesn't get me, whereas TikTok feels like it's your.
That's interesting.
They just understand.
So do you get most of your brand deals then on TikTok, not Instagram?
No, Instagram. So I really would be screwed if I got rid of Instagram. But I think I'm just thinking for enjoyment. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, I am split. I think if you asked me around 6 months ago, I would have said I'm getting rid of Instagram. But recently, Instagram creating that broadcast channel for me has changed the game. So I feel like before it felt like I didn't really have a community. And I'm really big on having a community of people that support you, whether, like I said, it's 100 people, whether it's 1,000 people, whatnot. And the broadcast channel for me has just really made me feel like I have a community on Instagram, which I love. And on TikTok, it's like, yes, you can go viral really easily, but it feels very fleeting.
It feels like silent. It feels like there's not a conversation happening.
Yeah, it feels like you're talking to a brick wall. It's like, okay, I'm getting loads of views, but where's my community? Where's my people that know thing? I think with Instagram, you can kind of see the same people commenting on your videos, same people engaging with your videos. And now we have the broadcast channel where you can respond to people on your broadcast channel.
I think that's a game changer.
I think that's such a game changer, because I think now it's like I have a community. I know people I'm talking to. I can recognize, I can pick these followers. I'm like, oh yeah, you did this and this and this. So
you've inspired me to start one, because previously I didn't start one because you couldn't reply, and I was like, I don't want to be speaking to myself. So now that the replies are on, it's a lot more interactive.
It's honestly such a game changer. So I think it's knowing that you have when I first started, I think my broadcast channel now, it's maybe It's funny because I will hit 5K like in my broadcast channel, and then I'll talk absolute nonsense and I'll like lose 1,000, and it's like so funny. But what's it called? When I created that initially, I was like, is anyone gonna join? And I think in the first like day, I had like 1,000 people in there, and I was like, oh, like you guys are actually interested, because especially when I do food content, I was like, what would I say in there? But it's having that personality. I think if people like you as a person, they're more willing to support your content. So I'll be like, guys, my bills have got to be paid. Can you support me on this ad, please? And people will go and they'll be like, oh, this looks amazing, this and this. And I think having a community of people that like you, and it's not just your brand, it's kind of like you as a person. I think it's so valuable as a creator, because you know they have your back in an sense. So I would defo recommend broadcast channel, because I think it's like they all support you. Like anything you do, like I know once the book goes live, I know a good percentage of people in the broadcast channel, if they're willing to hear me talk about, I nearly crashed my car today, they're probably going to buy my book.
100%.
So,
and you can get them involved in the process, like, you know,
Yeah.
which photo should I use on the cover, or
Yeah,
what recipe should I
exactly.
make next? So
Yeah,
it's very interactive.
they invest in you, and I think that's so invaluable as a creator.
Okay, so next segment, what are some challenges you face as a creator? We're going deep here.
Oh, interesting. Challenges I face. I think my biggest challenge at the moment is I cannot switch off. I am constantly working. And it's funny saying that. I think there's a stigma of when you're a content creator, you never really work because you love what you do. And I absolutely adore what I do, but I'm always working. Like, even if it's like, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, people will finish their job and they'll scroll on Instagram to kind of like, you know, detox. But for me, I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'm like, oh, that's a really good video. I really like that hook. Oh, I like this. And before I know it, I'm working, and it's no longer, social media sometimes feels like work, even though I'm just trying to mindlessly scroll. So I think that's one thing I'm trying to figure out, is how do I stop working? Because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I am not going to reply to this email because it's past 5 p.m. But then that's then going to bite me when I then have to, if I lose an opportunity, that's my fault. So that's kind of something I'm struggling with at the moment. What about yourself?
It's really hard, isn't it? Because effectively we turn something that's a hobby into our job, and
Yeah.
we love what we do, but it's like we're working all the time. We never
Yeah.
really switch off. One thing I can suggest, if you haven't tried it, painting by numbers. It's the only activity,
Okay.
which I thought I would hate, but
Okay.
just try it once. It's the only activity where I feel like I can actually switch off and I'm not thinking about work. It's because someone's telling you, well, not someone, but the paint by numbers is telling you where to paint, and it's just doing
Yeah.
something, finding something where you're not going to monetize it. So it's
Yeah.
just purely for joy. But yeah, the amount of hours I spend scrolling TikTok that could be my full-time job. For me, my biggest challenge is time. Not the time to switch off, but not having enough time to edit. I feel like my hard drive is filled with so much content, and it almost pains me to not see it kind of live its life online because I'm having lack of time. So yeah, that would be my biggest
So
challenge.
would you think you would consider like getting an editor or anything like that?
Yeah.
Is that something you're looking into at the moment?
Definitely. I would love to expand my team and have an editor, because I just have a crap ton. Is that what's my word? Crap ton of content to get out. And I think now that it's reached a point where it's been, you know, since the iPhone's been relatively decent since 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That catalog of travel content has been building up, and
I can imagine, because I mean, like, if you go to a place and you found so many things you love, it's like trying to figure out how do I condense that into some content, or should that be separate? So I can imagine like you've got so much footage, but you're like, how do I?
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But something I need to overcome for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so share with me, what are some techniques for growing and engaging with your audience? You already mentioned the broadcast channel.
Yeah. I would say definitely the broadcast channel, if you can do it, and if you feel comfortable doing it, definitely do it. And I would say get yourself talking to the camera more. Like, since I quit my job, I had more time. So I was like, right, my main thing is I want to be Food by Remy, because that's me as a brand, but I want people to also understand me as a person. I do not take myself seriously at all. If you follow me on social media, you know I don't take myself seriously at all. And I think being able to be personable, like people know you as a human being, they don't just see you as a brand, as someone that bakes. It's like, oh, I know Remy because, you know, her stories that she's always talking. So I find that me talking to the camera, my stories has really helped my videos. Before, my comments would be like, this looks delicious or this looks lovely, but now it's like, Remy, you've done it again. And it's that thing of like, they feel connected to me as a person. And I think being able to do your stories, do your broadcast channel, make sure you're engaging with your comments so people feel like they know you, kind of a thing. I think it's made a world of a difference for me. What would you probably say is your thing that's helped you?
Oh, I definitely agree with you. Switching to voiceover videos, I find people having more of that personal connection.
Yeah.
And it was scary at first because, I'm
You're
a
putting
bit of
yourself
a,
out there. Yeah.
and it's not easy. I would constantly stutter over my words, and it's one of those things with practice makes perfect. So you just always have to fake it till you make it and force yourself. It might feel a bit awkward at first, but it's one way to stand out. I think these days everyone kind of knows how to take an aesthetic video, but to kind of inject your personality. It's hard because like I'm trying to, I was always told, "Oh, show your personality more." I'm like, I kind of don't want to. I'm kind of happy to just have my personality offline with my friends. But even talking about something as boring as a travel itinerary, you can inject your personality into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's something I've really enjoyed.
At the end of the day, it's your recommendation. So it's like, it's you kind of a thing. Yeah, for sure.
Sure. So question, are you with management currently, or do you run the things by yourself, or what's been your experience?
Oh, I have stories for days. So when I first joined my first management, so I've been doing this roughly, making money from this maybe like the past 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. I joined my agency and I think I was on like 60K followers, I would say. And I grew really, really quickly. And I think the things my old agency struggled with was that as I was growing so quickly, they weren't pricing me properly. So that was a struggle. And then I had an unfortunate incident with my old agency that just made me realize they're not the agency for me. I kind of want to leave. So then I managed myself since January. I've been managing myself. We're in September now, so it's been quite a while actually. I've been managing myself and it's been going great because you're able to create a connection with the people that you reach out with. One of my like top tips is anyone that emails you, add them on LinkedIn. Because once you add them on LinkedIn, you can talk about your accomplishments. My LinkedIn is literally just me saying how great I am, if I'm being honest.
Love that.
Like this brand deal did so well. But it's like once you've added them on LinkedIn, they'll see you on LinkedIn and they'll be like, oh, this creator did this for this brand. Maybe she can do that for us as well. So I find managing myself was really, really fun. I've got to a place now, especially with writing the book, I do not have time to go through all my emails. I had an incident where a brand reached out to me and I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't respond to their email that day. I think I waited maybe like 2 days. I reached out, I was like, I would love to work with you. Thank you so much. They had found another creator. And I was like,
so fast in this industry. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Fair enough. I didn't respond to you in time. You found someone else to do the job. And that's when it occurred to me is like, if I get on my A game and I'm responding to everyone, but that means I'm not going to have time to do everything else, or I get myself an agency. So I'm currently in a now trial period with another agency. They are doing an amazing job. They're pricing me correctly, which is so important. So yeah, been a bit all over. What about yourself?
And that agency, did they reach out to you or did you find them?
I followed her for quite a while. Since my old experience, I like to sit back and watch how they treat the other creators. Like, are they championing them? Do they know when they've hit 100K? Do they know when they've hit a milestone? Are they doing things for them? And she reached out to me, which I really, really appreciate. I think it's kind of humble of her to reach out to me. Like, I really want you as a creator on our roster. And we're having a great experience. I'm absolutely loving working with them. I see myself working with them long term. So yeah, that was really fun.
It sounds like you've had such a great experience, and I wish I could say the same. I've not had the best experience of management. I've had several over the past few years, and I kind of felt like I was just another number to them.
Okay.
Like you mentioned, recently I did hit a big milestone, and they didn't, like, all my friends and family reach out to me to congratulate.
Yeah.
But they didn't mention it at all, and I felt like a management should be like invested in your career. They should care about you as much as you care about your business. And I think my advice is, if someone's looking for management, don't expect it to be the make or break of you getting brand.
Yes.
Management will only want to sign you if you're already earning a decent amount of money yourself first. And to, like, prior to signing with them, maybe ask them, on average, how many brand deals a month are you already getting for your current talent? And it's so simple, but if a brand emails, what's your standard response time?
Yeah.
Because in my situation, it was business days.
Goodness,
and it's like, I now self-manage, and I agree it's a lot better having that personal connection. But I also understand not every creator has the time for it. So I think you can also look into hiring an assistant who can do emails. But for now I'm running solo and will be for the future. So
I think with management, I think if you're a creator and you're looking into getting management, like you said, don't expect it like you signed for management, your life's going to change.
It's not the be all.
Because that's when I signed with my management and my first one, I was like, right, I've made it. Like, there's someone that wants to work for me. I've absolutely made it. But it's one of those things where if you're not, I found in my experience, if you're not making a decent amount before, you're not going to make it with them. They might bring you a few and they might know how to, price up, price down, whatnot. But you need to be comfortable in yourself. And then that's when I think once you know how to manage yourself, you know your expectations, then you can bring in management because you can't do it anymore. I think the best time to bring in management is when you're so stressed, I can't handle my emails anymore, kind of a thing. I think it'll be really handy. Like if I was to do this all over again, I would reach out to someone, I would get a rate card prediction. So I kind of know what to price myself. And then I would manage it myself until it gets to a point where it's like, I can't do this no more. I think I had you get your big agencies that want to work with you and it's very flattering, but then it's the thing of you don't want to be, I'd rather be a small fish in a small pond. If I'm if I'm a big creator, but I'm in a huge pond, I'm going to be washed out. Like the brand deal, they might come to me like, we want to work with Remy. And as an agency, you want to speak for everyone on your roster, then you can end up losing your brand deal because they're going to work with someone else on the roster. So for me, when big, huge agencies reach out to me, I'd rather not because I don't want to be lost in the swarm of your talent. I'd rather work with
agency. Yeah,
I'd rather work with a smaller one that I'm going to be championed because, I'm valuable there. I think it's amazing to be able to work with huge agencies, but I find that I know a lot of my other creative friends, they've been washed out because it's like, yes, okay, I don't know, you have 500,000 followers, but there's people that have 2 million. So you're not a big deal to them.
It's not a nice feeling to feel like you can be easily replaced. So yeah, I think that's a really good advice.
Smaller agencies, I think, are the win. Yeah.
The one. So do you think you have a healthy relationship when it comes to social media? No. I do not.
No. I love social media. I mean, I'm on it all the time. I absolutely love it. But I think it's trying to, like I mentioned before, trying to find that balance of work balance and life balance. I think that's one thing, like you mentioned before, TikTok is great because like TikTok, I don't get a lot of food posts on there. I think with TikTok, it's your For You page. So it's not your following page.
No.
So on TikTok, I can go on there and I can have a gig and I can kind of laugh. I'm trying to work on reducing my social media intake. I think it can be very, very, very toxic because you're constantly looking at your numbers. You're constantly trying to reply to all the comments. And it's like, I want to be that person that responds to everyone's comments. But I used to hate it when creators said this and they were like, I can't respond to everyone. Because I'm like, yes, you can. But it's like, sometimes you can't. Sometimes when a video is done really, really well and you're literally getting thousands of comments, I genuinely cannot respond to everyone. And it can get very, very overwhelming. And then I start to feel guilt. And then it's like, I shouldn't feel guilty for not speaking to people that I don't know, but I do. So it's trying to find that balance. But no, I do not have a healthy relationship. What about yourself?
Yeah, you can't be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And you have to set those boundaries for yourself. So I would say for me, it used to be toxic and now I'm in a good place. I always say like your follow count or your engagement rate is not going to be printed or chipped into your gravestone. So at the end of the day, it's really not that deep. So I think you just have to tell yourself it's like the art of letting go.
Yeah.
It's hard, but you just have to be like, it's really not that serious.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's fun, but just don't take it too seriously. Otherwise you're going to be upset.
Yeah. Definitely. I think when I went on holiday recently, I was like, I'm not touching my phone. And it was genuinely one of the best holidays I've ever had in my life because it was a thing of like, normally like when I go on holiday, and I feel like you must have this maybe sometimes where it's like, it's work. Like, okay, I'm on holiday, but now everyone wants to know where I'm going. Everyone wants to know where I'm eating. So it's like, I'm on holiday, but I'm still making content still. And with my last holiday, one of my sisters, and I was like, I'm not touching my phone. I'm literally going to get a book. I'm not going to have an ebook where I can get notifications. And I just had time offline. And I was like, this is really nice. How do you balance that, to be honest? Like traveling on a holiday where it's like, I'm on holiday, but I'm working. Yeah.
I just make it separate. So my work trips are work trips. And then for my holidays, I sometimes will go somewhere a bit dead. So I'm not tempted to make content. So I can do like just a very average looking hotel and I can just switch off and read and chill. But it's hard if you go somewhere that's amazing. Of course, you want to take a photo. Of course. Sometimes I will have trips that are a mix of, I recently just went to the Dolomites in Italy and it was a bit of relax and a bit of taking some content because it's amazing. But just booking somewhere and having even just like a social media free night can really reset your week. So I think that helps. So Remy, talk to me. What is your creative process when receiving a brief and working with a brand? What's kind of the first things that run through your mind when you're getting that brief?
Great question. So when I first started out with my ads, and like brands, working with brands. It was all very new to me. And I kind of always thought, if it's a brand deal, this is the brand. I'm going to speak like this in this very monotone thingy. Please buy this product. And that's how I did most of my ads when I started off. And a fantastic creator, I love her to bits, Zena. I was speaking to her, I was like, how do I make my ads good? Like, my ads never perform well because they're so addy, but it's an ad. I mean, what am I going to do? And she said to me, she was like, just take it as a creative brief. Don't see it as like, okay, you need to do this, and this. Kind of see it like, okay, how am I going to integrate this into content I already had? I found that when I did ads before, it was like I changed everything I did to make sure it worked for the ad. But as I've kind of grown and I've got more confident in my abilities to, influence and to create ads, it's finding a way for them to fit into your content, not the other way around. So it's trying to integrate it as organically as I can as possible. Like, I will push back when brands are like, we want this mentioned in the first 3 seconds. I will push back and I'm like, these are ads that I've done where I've not done that, and they have literally done millions of views. I had an ad with Arla, and I'm free to say this because they love me because I did really well. It was a really, really fun ad where they wanted to use some of their yogurt for a video, and they pushed back because I hadn't used it in the first 3 seconds. And I said, look, it's subliminally, I've placed it, in the background, but I've integrated into a series that that's done really well. I think it's going to do really well. And they weren't sure, but they trusted me, which I love when brands trust me. And that video now on my TikTok is sitting at 10 million views organically. No paid spend, anything like that. And it was such a win for me because it was the first time I did an ad where I was like, this is a good ad. Like, this is a video I would watch and I wouldn't be like, that's an ad. Because I think I try to stay away from ads that I watch and I'm like, I can tell that's an ad straight away, especially with food content. It's like, it's very obvious when you're trying to sell something. And I think with food content, it can be so organic. Like, I had a recent one with a supermarket brand, and it was just for strawberries. And I was like, this doesn't have to be buy this strawberries right now. It can just be, I've used the strawberries in this cake and it works, kind of a thing. So I would probably say when I receive a brand deal now or an ad, it's finding a way for it to integrate into my content, not the other way around. What about yourself?
I think that's it's a fine line between making it organic and something your followers will love, and then also making sure the brand is happy. And I think, as you mentioned, by kind of referencing videos you've already created and showing like, this is what I could do, I think that's a really good step. So yeah, I'll do similar. I kind of will reference content of mine that's already done well. I'll usually put together a Google Doc with just some written words and that's maybe some links, and I prefer to jump on a call if they're free, because I used to work at agency side, so I won't go as far as to making a whole pitch deck because I think sometimes I want to have a chat about it before the contract is signed, so I'm not going to give away all my ideas just yet. But just having a very informal kind of, this is what I'm thinking, here's some key shots, and here's some videos that are quite similar that performed well in the past. And I think, like you said, having a bit of pushback is don't be scared to push back, because at the end of the day, you generally just want what's best for your audience and also for the brand. Like, we're not trying to trick anyone, and we want, we have the brand's best interest in heart as well. So don't be afraid to send up and kind of flag something if it's not natural how you would talk. Some brands will send a script and I'm like, that is not how I would talk at all. So I think make sure, obviously make sure the key points that they want are mentioned, but try and do it as organically as possible, which I used to really, really struggle with, but it's just trying to figure out how can I do this as organic as possible. And I would recommend as well following other creators and seeing how they do ads. I feel like I've learned so much by just watching how other creators maneuver things. We can be put on the same campaign deal and I will do my ads so different to another creator. And I'm like, okay, what can I learn from that? Because that's performed better. I think it's okay to be like, this ad didn't perform well. What can I learn from it? And seeing, and sometimes, it's nothing to do with you, it's just the algorithm. But I think it's also being able to understand that ads aren't going to perform well if they're very addy. So it's like being able to convince yourself that I can do a good job. I trust my judgment. And sometimes if that means saying no to deals, it does mean if you're in a position to, because to be fair, when I was at the beginning, I wasn't in a position to say no to deals, but being able to say no to like, this is not going to work organically for me. Like, I'm not going to, I had a shoe brand trying to reach out, and I was like, this is not going to work for me. Like, I'm a food thingy, and it's, yes, I can and that's
identify.
Kind of on them to do their research, so
And I was like, I can kind of identify that, you see that, I have a large following, but this is not going to work for my following. And if you are in the position to, sometimes it's also okay to say no. I'll probably say,
So Remy, I have a kind of mock campaign brief for you. I'm going to read that out, and afterwards in 60 seconds if you kind of talk through your creative concept for this campaign. So for this campaign, we're going to be celebrating the art of ballet with historic London theatre. The aim is to inspire the 18 to 35 age group to discover the magic of ballet at one of London's most historic theatres. It's all about celebrating ballet as a powerful and modern art form that resonates with today's generation. Whether you're new to ballet or already a fan, we want to show you how this timeless art form can captivate and inspire. So some content examples, you could do an Instagram reel, which is a quick, energetic montage of key moments from a ballet performance with a catchy soundtrack and on-screen captions highlighting its elegance and excitement, as well as an Instagram story set. So for this, you will create a series of behind-the-scenes clips showing the theatre's atmosphere, the pre-show excitement, and a glimpse of the ballet in action. So just to recap on the deliverables, so one Instagram feed post, which could be a video or carousel, Instagram story set, so 3 to 5 frames, 6 months of organic usage on brands' own social channels, and you can't mention or compare to other ballet organizations. I'm not sure if that's exclusivity, but probably just within the video you can't mention any other. And then bonus, if you could also mention how much you would charge for this campaign.
Okay, so ballet, I mean, that's not really my forte, but if I had to do a ballet, like I was saying before, the first 3 seconds is everything. So I'd probably try and get a really interesting shot in the first 3 seconds for this campaign. I love the Instagram stories. I think that's where you're talking to your community. So I think my Instagram story would be like, right guys, I don't watch ballet. Like, you know, this age range might not watch ballet either. So I'm like, I don't watch ballet, but I thought I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what it's like and kind of just have that laid back approach to it. So it's not too gimmicky, not too silly. And then I think the Instagram story would just, me going through my day, going to go see a ballet. Be great if we can go behind the stage, see how people are practicing, see like the human aspect of it. And then if you want to see the full thing, you guys should go visit yourself. With the reel itself, I think it would probably be like a day vlog. I think day vlogs do really well. People like the personality. So I'll probably do a personality thing where I'm just chit-chatting, going through. This is not something I normally do, but I want to try something different. If you're like me where you've never seen it before, this is a must watch. This is, run, don't walk, as I always say, kind of a thing. What was the exclusivity and the organic usage for rating?
So 6-month organic usage for the brand to repost on their pages. Okay. I don't think there's any exclusivity, but you just couldn't mention any other ballet organizations.
Okay, and there's no paid usage?
No, just organic.
Okay, 3 Instagram story sets. Well, obviously people's rates vary. I think for 3 IGs, or when they don't want it on TikTok, it's just Instagram.
Instagram.
I would probably say you're looking at, depending on people's following, obviously, £5,000, excluding agency fees, excluding VAT, because that's obviously such a whole thing. Depending obviously on your following. I think it's one of those things where if you know your audience is going to relate well to it, you can charge it up. Like, I mean, 5,000 is minimum. But if you know that maybe that's not your niche, you can do it like that. I would say minimum, probably £5,000.
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, I would probably
And do you charge extra for organic usage? Or is that something you kind of work into the project?
I think, once again, it depends on your niche. Like, let's say for my account, because I know that's not my niche, it's not a huge deal for me. If it was paid usage, we're talking 20% minimum more. Yeah. If it's exclusivity, once again, depends on my niche. If it's not going to affect my niche hugely, then I don't really need to worry too much about exclusivity, but it will be an extra. If it's like, for instance, let's say I'm a ballet person and I can't go to another theatre or this theatre, that can be another 25-30%.
Yeah, because you got to think about the potential loss of income.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if it was with paid usage, the reason I would charge more, so I find that a lot of people say you charge more for paid usage, but don't explain why. The reason I would do more is, let's say, if I bring it back to food aspects kind of thing, let's say a supermarket is now paying loads of money to put me out there on social media. Another supermarket isn't going to reach out to me because they know that I'm working with that one. So in a way, paid usage is kind of like exclusivity in a way as well. Because
it goes very hand in hand.
Very,
a lot
very
of people
hand in
don't
hand.
realize this is that if you give a whole year's worth of paid usage, you are stopping yourself from getting other campaigns. Yeah. So I would try limit it to a month only. Yes. Really, unless they're paying a good salary. Like yeah, keep it.
Yeah, I feel like I always try to. This is what I'm going to charge you. Kind of a thing. Yeah. If you want less, then you have to lower the deliverables kind of a thing. Because 6 months organic is great, but I think if you're also someone that's growing very quickly, you don't want 6 months down the line they're showing an ad that you maybe have grown from as well. But yeah, if it was, luckily it's not paid usage, it's not exclusivity, so it kind of works hand in hand. But definitely if they're asking for that, charge up.
Yeah, I think you smashed that. I think that rate is really makes sense. So yeah.
Okay, same thing for you. So we have a nighttime skin routine. So the aim is to join Intelligent Sleep campaign designed for skincare, lifestyle, and fashion influencers. They want you to show your nighttime routine using their night cream, which comes in 3 different formulas for dry, oily, and combination skin. So you would personalize it to your skin type. They kind of want it to be cinematic, calming, ASMR kind of vibe. For the concept examples, for an Instagram reel, they want you to share your day in a life and the end of the day, nighttime kind of ritual, featuring how you would apply the night cream and steps that you would take before you go to bed. And then for the TikTok video, they want a ASMR soothing kind of video, pre-bed facial massage using the night cream and highlighting the benefits for your skin type. Deliverables is 1 Instagram reel or a TikTok reel. No collaborations on forces exclusivity. No collaborations for other skincare brands for 4 weeks or 4 weeks before and after you post. They're asking for a lot. And 6 months UK only paid usage on the brand social channels.
All right, let's get into it. Okay, so skincare for me is not really my niche, but if I can relate back to travel, then that's going to work for my page and my audience because, you know, my audience is mostly female, so it's something they're going to be interested in as well. So I would probably start my reel with a very eye-catching aesthetic travel shot, and then I'd move into a shot, maybe like a stop motion, kind of a cool effect of me packing my suitcase and kind of having maybe a layered audio of some ASMR, you know, that kind of when you like pop off a skincare product kind of thing. So packing my suitcase with the last step, obviously packing the skincare, and then I would show probably a voiceover with showing a day in my life whilst traveling, ending that reel with, you know, me unwinding for the evening in my hotel room, doing my skincare, my pajamas, and I kind of wouldn't want it to be too salesy, but I would kind of touch on about the confidence that the skincare gives me. And it's something like for skincare, I don't often do those collaborations because I want to test the products for a really long time to see if it actually does work. And everyone's skin is different. So I'd have some more details in the caption. So that's the creative concept.
What do you think you would charge for?
So there's 1 Instagram reel.
1 Instagram or TikTok, no collaborations with other skincare brands, 4 weeks before and after, and 6 months UK only paid usage.
Okay, I'd try to send across like 3 different packages to kind of try and upsell them. So the first package would be just an Instagram reel and the paid usage because that's something they already mentioned. Now for me, I'm not going to be majorly effective if I can't work with a skincare brand for 8 weeks because you probably wouldn't want to promote a skincare brand like 5 in the same month because it doesn't make sense to your audience. So it's something I wouldn't be too precious about, but with exclusivity, if it's say a hotel brand, I promote a lot of hotels, then I would often double or triple my fee because I'm losing out on a lot of income. So for the reel and a bit of paid usage, probably around the 5,000 mark. And then on the next package, I would upsell a TikTok repost. So that's great because they're getting extra reach, but for me, it's not extra work. And maybe I would add in some story frames because they're, you know, they might not want that initially, but after, you know, I can upsell them for a bit of a discount. And then, for that one, I'd probably price it maybe $2,000 more. So I would do like a 5K package and then a 7K package and then maybe even a 10K package. And then kind of add in like a YouTube shorts repost or, you know, maybe a blog post as well. So,
So how much extra would you pay for paid usage?
So I usually charge either 30% of the overall fee or 30% of paid spend. And some brands don't want to disclose paid spend. So I often say whichever one is lower. So they can decide if they're going to share that with me or it's just 30% of my fee. I
think that's a really good point actually, asking how much they're going to use on paid spend.
Because they could be putting $100,000 behind it. You don't know. Like,
Because I had a brand reach out and they were putting 60,000. So it was like a big campaign. But they were putting £60,000 and I was like, whoa. Because it's one of the things that if you have that money
it's more money to spend. Like, give it to me. Like,
exactly.
They could work with 20 other creators with that kind of money. So don't be afraid to ask, but a brand doesn't have to share it with you, but they can, if you say that thing, 30% of my fee or 30% of paid spend, whichever is lower, then they can decide.
Brilliant. Okay.
Smash that.
Money talks. This is the bit that everyone wants to go. Everyone wants to
skip.
speak about. Everyone wants to speak about money talks because money does indeed talk. Okay, first questions. So, what, if you're comfortable sharing, is your highest paid deal?
30,000. 30,000.
That is amazing.
That's me
amazing.
referencing the TikTok sound. 30,000, which is mad because that used to be my yearly salary.
Yeah.
And it's hard to talk about money sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm very open about talking about my creative friends, but for non-creators, they'll see that figure and they'll be like, that is so much money. That's, nurses should be getting paid a lot more for this. Yeah. But I want other people to realize that you can earn a good living being creative. Photographers can charge, $1,000 a day? So if you do the maths, how many days in the year, $1,000 a day? Like, it is actually, it's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Mind you, that wasn't just for one reel. I wish. It was a lot of work. It was actually a UGC job.
Oh, interesting.
So it was great because I didn't have to be.
Yeah. I didn't know UGC pays that well. So that's really interesting. Yeah.
It would have included a lot of usage. It was a lot of editing. It was quite similar to like an agency job. There was a lot of pre-shoot planning and storyboarding and things like that. But yeah, that was my highest paid.
Wow. Yeah. That's really, really good. Because you've been doing this for 7 years.
Yeah.
So that is like, that's something that's, amazing. That's amazing.
I find those kind of figures you see when it's like a longer term partnership. Which I think is the dream for any creator. What about you?
My highest paid has been 18,000. It was for 2 videos and 2 IG stories.
That's great.
I was really happy with that.
Did that include some usage?
Yeah, that included paid usage as well. But I was really, really happy with that. Because I think I've not been doing this for very long. So like you said, like I think in the first, it's been if I quit my job in December, it's been about 9 months now since I've done that. And like you said, I remember there was 1 month where I made my yearly wage in a month, and I was like, I was like, oh, like it's such a shock kind of thing. And like you said, you're not going to come across, I haven't come across those deals all the time. But as you grow as a creator, you kind of start to realize that brands have a lot of budget when it comes to some things. And it's like, make sure you're always charging yourself fairly, because especially when it comes to, like you mentioned, with paid usage, it's like you can lose out on a deal because the brand's been like, oh, she's working with this brand, so we don't really want to take her on.
And it's also to protect yourself, because you never realize if that brand is going to be involved in a scandal down the line, and they're using your face in advertisements, and the CEO's done up the wazoo. So it's something to be really mindful of. And I think it's really empowering that this is a job where it can be very self-made. You don't have to do a degree to get into, and there's some good money involved. So
I think it's absolutely amazing. Like I remember when my accountant told me how much money I'd made this year, I was like, firstly, I need to start saving a lot better. And then I was like, secondly, I was like, this is a long-term thing. I think if you do this correctly, like people are making a lot of money. I don't think people are quitting their jobs and making like £2,000 a month. Like people are making thousands, tens of thousands on websites on their, Substack is like a new thing now as well. So I think there's so many ways to have a really good passive income as a creator. What was the lowest deal you've ever taken, and why did you take it, if you did take it?
Well, obviously I've done a lot for free, and I still do to this day. The lowest payment I can recall, I think you're gonna laugh at this, it was £30, and it was Wagamama's. Hey, a girl's going to eat, like this, because I mean,
just gifted it to you. Why would they?
It's actually embarrassing when I think about it now. This was like, I'm talking, probably 2017. This is quite a while ago now. And back then, I thought I'd made it. £30. I can go out for another meal, another McDonald's.
Especially when you don't know anything about this industry. It's like, oh my gosh, it
was like a little bit of pocket money to spend, and
I get
which now I would literally laugh at someone if they offered that, because it's
insulting.
It's not even, it's below minimum wage if you think about all the hours involved. Back then it was just an iPhone photo that really would take 5 minutes. Now a reel can take me 8 hours or 2 days. So that's
I love it. Shout out to Wagamama's. Lowest paid deal. So this is really tricky for me because last year, December, I was on 150k following. And then right now I'm on roughly 625k.
Like, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really great.
Yeah. So lowest paid deal at the time, I think when I was first starting off as a creator, I think the lowest I did was £800, and I got like it was with cooking stuff. It's like they can gift you like an equipment. I think the equipment was worth like £800, and then they paid me £800, and I was very happy with it because it was one of those things that I've always wanted in my kitchen anyway. So I was like, the fact I'm getting paid as well, fab. But like you said, like, I think at that time maybe I was on like maybe like 60k following. I had like maybe 60k, and I accepted it because I was like, first of all, the brand deals weren't rolling in, so I wasn't in a position to turn down deals. I think it's very easy now for me to be like, yeah, I don't really want to work with that brand. No. When I was still growing as a creator, I was trying to get anything I could, because I think now there's a lot of focus on like, if they're not paying you your worth, don't work with them. But I think me putting my foot in the door and accepting lower paid brand deals meant that brands knew that I was reliable to work with. I think, to me, getting into the space, it helped me because I was able to be like, well, I've worked with this brand now. And it'll be big brands, like big kitchen brands, but their budget isn't great. But then I can go to another brand and be like, actually, I've worked with Ninja, for instance. So, I have a brand, I can work with other people. And I think it's really helped me in the long run, because I think there's a lot of push now is like, if they're not paying you X amount, then it's a waste of your time. But it's not a waste of your time. You can build your brand relationships, you can build getting to know that PR agency. And it really helps. Like I think if you're a smaller creator, don't be put off if they're not paying you a lot, because think to yourself, if you were going to spend money on that product anyway, like for instance, I don't know, on a coffee machine, and now they're gifting to you and paying you, I don't know, £500, that's a pretty good deal still, kind of a thing. And you can build the brand relationships, and then now that I've grown, for instance, I can go back to that brand and be like, look, this video did really well at that stage of where I was. Now I'm even bigger. Let's work again. And it's happened where I've worked with brands again, and I've just charged them more now. We have that relationship where they understand who I am. So I think don't be put off by working with brands, if they're not paying you loads, because it's a foot in the door.
It's all relative. Like £200 to someone might not be that much, but someone else, that's them paying the rent and groceries for that month.
Exactly.
So I think what it comes down to is we deserve so much more than just charging for our time, because there's the online reach and the access to our audience. However, I always try to aim for a kind of ideal day rate. So if I'll think, okay, is this reel going to take me a week to produce, or is it going to take me half a day? And then that I will accept a lower rate if it so long falls into those guidelines. So I think the key is to be flexible and
I would say definitely be flexible. Don't be too, especially when you're first starting off, don't be too money incentivized. Do it because you enjoy it, and if a brand's going to pay you a fair
and the money will
amount,
come.
the money will come. Like, as you grow, the money will come. Like, don't get me wrong, don't be on 500,000 followers and be charging £800. Don't do that. That's going to affect everyone. But it's like when you're first starting off, it's like get your foot in the door and work with brands. And I think working with brands is also such a thing where you learn, okay, this is what a brand's looking for. This is the timeline that they work for. And I think it's very valuable to just put your foot in the door. How do you negotiate with brands?
So when brands, it's hard because you can get lowballed quite often. I'm sure you've experienced. I think you had to have the confidence to be able to walk away from a low offer and almost kind of call their bluff a bit. There's been so many times where a brand will say, oh, our budget's only this.
Brands and their budget.
It's the maximum we can do.
Yeah.
Trust me, if you just say, sorry, but that's my rate, or this is the lowest I will go. And kind of, it can be scary because I can't judge someone else. Like, if you need the money, you need the money. But if you have the confidence to walk away, you'll be surprised how they magically double the budget out of nowhere because you had the confidence to stand up for yourself. So that's my biggest tip. And my biggest tip for negotiating, like I mentioned earlier, that kind of different packages. So don't just give one flat rate, because
it's a really good idea, honestly.
You don't want to just say, okay, one reel is 5,000, because if they go, our budget's 2,000, well, I can't just do half a reel. And I'm not going to reduce my rate by half, because what other industry does that? You can't pay 50% of a plumber's fees. So even if they only ask for a very small deliverable, just add some things in, because that way, okay, you have less budget. Well, how about we meet halfway? So instead of 2,000, let's meet back more at 4,000, and I'm going to take off these stories now. Like, you need to have something to work with. So I will always add in some repost, some stories, because that way, if they have less budget, okay, well, you're not going to get everything from me. I'm just going to take some things off. I think those are my biggest tips. What about you for negotiating?
I ask brands what are their budget. They'll come back and they're like, okay, our budget is this and we're looking for this, 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 and this. Then I'm like, okay, so that actually means you probably have like £2,000, £3,000 more.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm happy to work with you to do this, or I have to work with you to do this. I think with negotiating, like you said, don't be scared to walk away from something. I've had a brand, they reached out, and I had to walk away because I was like, I would love to make this work, but it's not going to work for me, kind of a thing. Especially once you figure out how much you have to pay for VAT and, you know, then for tax and then for your agency fees, it's like, it's not working for me. And I said to them, it's not working for me. I left it. They came back with £3,000 more. And I was like,
Where
okay.
did they get that from?
And, you know, they emailed, they were like, you know, it took a week. It took a week, so
Yeah.
maybe they did do something.
Yeah.
And they came back and they were like,
But
we've
clearly
managed to
they
find
really wanted
budget.
to work with you.
Yeah. And especially when with some emails, you can kind of tell when it's like, Remy, we want to do this with you, or rather than
It's just a
this campaign.
mass email out.
Yeah. So when it's like a thing of they've personalized it, they want to work with you. So more than likely they're willing to make it work. Obviously, to a certain extent, don't take the mick. But it's like, if they're willing to work with you, be willing to work with them. And if it's a brand that you love, it's always, you know, much better. But I would definitely say when it comes to negotiating, don't be scared to walk away from something that you don't feel like you're being charged properly for. And don't be scared to price up. I think when I first started, I remember with my first ever brand deal, I got paid £1,000. And I think I was so scared to ask for £1,000 because to me, as someone that's working full time, and like you said, I was like on like roughly 30K, it's like, that's like half my monthly paycheck for one video. What do you mean? And I was terrified. I was like, oh, I really hope they don't think I'm being rude or anything like that. And it's like, they agreed to it with no fallback. So normally it's like, you know, you send your rates and they're like, oh, well, we can do this, or can we do this? Can we do this? But they just agreed to it. And it really was eye-opening for me because it was a thing of like, oh, okay, like it's okay to charge that much because you know your worth. I think as you grow as a creator, you start to realize I'm actually pretty good at this. I'm actually pretty good at my job kind of thing. And it's like, don't be scared to be like, this is my rate. If you can't abide to it, that's completely fine. I would love to work with you in the future. I'm going to add you on LinkedIn kind of a thing and walk away from it, I'd probably say. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like also talking to your creative friends really helps.
Yeah.
That's a great place to start in terms of finding out what to charge. And I'm gonna have to do a little self-plug here and mention my Facebook group because that's something I created to help others find out how much to charge. So I've got some free resources for people to find out how much to charge for posts, usage, and stuff like that. So these things exist online. You don't have to pay for a course or buy an ebook.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and just search how much to charge for Instagram posts. There's so many amazing, incredible resources out there, and don't be afraid to message another creator. I'm very much an open book. So anyone listening to this, they can reach out to me.
Literally, me too. Like if you're ever not sure, like, like you said, like just reach out and ask someone, like, because I mean, don't get me wrong, you wouldn't walk up to someone and be like, what are you on? So when people ask me, what am I on? I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask you that. Yeah. But if you're asking for advice on, hey, I'm not too sure what to, you know, prices at, these are the deliverables, I'm happy to help. Like I've had people reach out. And I think the only way as creators we're going to be able to grow is if we help each other, kind of a thing. Like if I don't know, you know, if I'm talking to you and I realize you're on £1,000 more than me, then it's like, okay, I probably should up my rates, kind of a thing. So don't be scared to reach out to other people for help. I think if you find a community of creators that, you know, you all get on and it's organic, it's like talk to them about it because you're all in the same niche. So yeah. What would you say is your number one thing you ask brands before you collaborate?
I'll ask them what their main goals are for the campaign. So whether that's they might want to hit a certain number of views or just increase brand awareness or talk about a new product launch. I'll kind of, if I haven't mentioned that in the brief already, I'll ask that. And then obviously the kind of basic stuff in terms of, okay, what deliverables do you want? I actually don't ask them what their budget is. I just kind of go in and say my rate straight away because I have found that over the years, it's quite rare that the brand's budget will be more than what I charge.
Yeah.
So to save a lot of back and forth, I'll just go straight in.
Yeah.
My rates, here's my media kit.
Yeah.
You know, can you send a brief over what deliverables do you want based on that? So yeah, what about yourself?
I think after working with a brand and realizing they were cancelled, that was a whole ordeal, to be honest. I think from now on I do my research. I think before I didn't do my research when it came to brands. I was kind of like, yeah, they're paying a hefty fee, why not? I think sometimes now I'm like questioning why they're paying a hefty fee, because as I've learned, sometimes it's like they're paying a hefty fee because other creators don't want to work with them because they're cancelled. I think now it's just making sure I do my due diligence and figure out every single brand, making sure that they're people are aligned, align and all of that type of stuff. I think it's great to work with multiple brands, but it's just making sure that your values align. I would probably say doing more research. I think I don't always do the research needed. Yeah. If you wanted to diversify your income, what would you recommend? And do you do that anyway?
Yeah, so this is something we were talking about earlier, and I think a lot more creators should know about is obviously there's not much you can earn in terms of Instagram Reels for creators in the UK. There's I don't think we currently have access to the, what is it called, the Reels bonus program.
We don't have that.
But obviously there's things like the TikTok Creator Fund and blogging, which seems really old school and it's very confusing, but it's something both of us do to diversify our income. So one of the benefits of that is we earn money while we sleep, which is great.
Exactly.
So one of the main ways you can do that is through affiliate links. So recommending products that you already use, that may be equipment for your kitchen equipment. And for me, like hotels, travel tours, things like that.
Yeah.
And then also ad networks. So kind of when you go in someone's blog, there'll be those display ads, you'll earn money from that. So I think that's probably one of the best ways.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. So I have my website where I have all my recipes on there and they have ads on there. It's interesting because you were saying before, I feel like a lot of UK creators don't have websites or blogs or anything like that. And I learned about it first time when I had one of my US creator friends. She was like, why don't you have a website? You can make money on it. And I was like, what do you mean you can make money on a website? I had no idea that, I mean, you see ads, but I never thought you get paid. Yeah, it didn't add up in my brain. But it's like, you can get paid at least like 4 or 5 figures a month on just your website. And that's such passive income. I mean, granted, you need to, like with me, I have to make sure I go into detail my recipe and stuff like that. But it's great because it's like you said, you're making money in your sleep. Like you're making £2,000, £3,000 in your sleep.
And
like,
you don't have to rely on brand campaigns.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of creators don't know about it. And it is a big task to get into, but you have to kind of think you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and Instagram could be gone in a few years. TikTok could be banned in America maybe one day. So having either a newsletter, an email list that you own, or a website, I think is really key and something every creator should consider.
And you're able to get, like with mine, I have a mailing list, and you're able to get all their emails and stuff like that. So it's like if Instagram and TikTok did shut down one day, how are you getting in contact with your followers? Like you need to be able to do that. So I think it's really, really handy. I know that Substack is a new thing now. People are really pushing on Substack. Some of my friends are making around 20 grand a month on their Substack. It is absolutely insane. Like Substack is one of those things where it's the same as it's a passive income, really, truly, because especially with their model where it's like each person's paying like $9.99 a month. When you think about it, if people are spending $9.99 a month and it's like 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 3,000 people,
you don't much.
It grows, kind of a thing. So definitely, if you're not on Substack or you're not having a blog or you're not having a website, get on there, get yourself with Mediavine, Journey, Raptive, I think you mentioned as well.
It's so sick because there's so many options for creators. And I think, like we're kind of spoiled for choice when it comes to it. So diversifying income is key.
Okay, so do you have any exciting projects coming up? Like what's your next plan?
I'm just always jetting off somewhere new. So I'm going to be traveling around the Middle East over the next few months. So I'm going to be sweating buckets. It's going to be 40 degrees. For the American listeners listening, that's the temperature of Satan's bumhole, I think. Very hot. So that'll be really exciting.
Whereabouts are you going in particular?
I shouldn't say yet because it's not been signed, but you'll see on my Instagram feed very shortly. What about you? What do you have coming out?
So I'm writing a cookbook at the moment. I will withhold the name because I'm really proud of like the cookbook name,
it's
and
so
I'm so excited to talk about it. But I'm writing a cookbook. Our pre-sale we're thinking is probably going to be early next year. And I'm so excited for it. I think it's such a personification of my account. It's very different to the cookbooks that are out there, and I know everyone always says that like it's different, but my cookbook hasn't been done like that before. So I'm really, really excited for it. And I can't wait for it to go live. I think I've literally put blood, sweat and tears into this book. And I'm so happy to be able to be doing it with an amazing publishing house, like a household staple that I used to, buy books from. So it's very, very exciting.
It's going to be amazing. So how do people sign up to the
For now, sign up to my mailing list on my website. And then as soon as I can talk about the book, everyone will know because I'm so excited for it. But and it's something that a lot of people have been asking me for ages. Like, when are you writing a book? When are you writing a book? But I wanted to make sure it was at the right time. It was the right time in my career where I could give my all to it. And I think now is definitely the time. So yeah, I'm excited for the book. I'm really, really excited. It's a goal of mine, being able to go into a library and see myself, like it's my mark on history in a way, like
Yeah.
even
It's a
once, you know,
legacy.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very excited for that. Where can we find you online?
So on pretty much everywhere, I'm Kelsey in London, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. What about yourself? Where can we find you?
Food by Remy, pretty much everywhere as well. So I have this thing where people think my name Remy is spelt like ratatouille, and it's like, love your babe, but I'm not a rat. So it is food by Remi, not Y.
Key.
Thank you so much, Creators and Creators, for having me, Remy, and Kelsey on the show.
Make sure you leave us a rating or review on any podcast platform. And if you're watching, drop us a comment and don't forget to subscribe.
Wow.